Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. We have special guests with us, Sam Tripoli from the Tinfoil Hat Podcast. Hi, Sam. How are
Jimmy,
you?
good to be back. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, you got any shows coming up?
Yeah, September 14th and 15th, the Tinfoil Hat Comedy Night is at the Corner Comedy Club in Niagara Falls, Canada. Just go to thecornercomedyclub.com. It's myself, Eddie Bravo's Night Comedy and Conspiracies. Come check it out. It's going to be a great time.
All right. Look at that. Niagara.
Yeah.
I've never been to Niagara.
The nice side.
Okay. Well, do you remember this? This is from 2012 when the Democrats were still sane. And they tweeted out, Romney, who calls Russia our number one geopolitical foe, doesn't seem to realize it's the 21st century. Remember that? That was in October of 2012.
The 80s called Mitt Romney.
Remember that? And here's from 2016. Obama did not discuss Russian election meddling with Putin. Didn't even bring it up when they met in November after the election. He didn't even bring it up. You know why? He said, Obama said he did not discuss Russia's alleged meddling in the U.S. elections during his short conversation because that's behind us. Obama told reporters during a press conference at the Asia-Pacific Economic... Now, imagine if fucking Trump said that. Imagine if Trump had a meeting with... I didn't bring it up. That's behind us. People would go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. All right, so I just want to remind people, because I'm setting up a story, blah, blah, and he said blah, blah. So... Ever since then, though, the propaganda machine has been going a million miles an hour. Look at this. Hey, Russians compromised election system in 7 states. Oh, wait, the DHS tells 21 states they were hacked. Oh, my God. Here's what we know about those 21 states. Hey, it's been 30. Now it's 39 frickin' states.
And the final verdict was 57
57 states.
They doubled up on a couple states.
So the reason I bring this up is because I was talking about something on Twitter with and someone who was a follower of this show and of me said, well, you have to admit that they did hack into our elections. And they linked this. This was the article. So these articles are still up. By the way, this article's still up. So this has all been debunked, this stupid thing from DHS 21. And here's how it goes. Russia, this is from that article that said there was 39 states that were hacked. Russia's efforts to hack the 2016 presidential election were much more widespread than originally thought. The Russian campaign hit 39 states, twice as many as originally reported. And in one case, hackers tried to delete and alter the vote data. That's the startling revelation from a Bloomberg report this morning. The extent of the cyber intrusion was so widespread that Obama administration officials used the infamous red phone, which is really a digital communications channel that allows the countries to send information back and forth to show Kremlin leaders that what they had discovered. It's weird because Barack Obama had a meeting with Putin and he didn't say a goddamn thing about it. Isn't that weird? But here, Vox is sure that he used the red phone, even though it's not a red phone.
Jimmy, it's a red phone. Same one they had in Batman. That was what it was.
That's what it was. And here's Ron, what you were talking about off the air. He says what often happens is they'll have a big headline and then 18 paragraphs in, they'll say something like this. It remains unclear, though, if these intrusions had any direct effect.
Right? It's unbelievable.
It gets better. But in this article also it says the administration, meaning Barack Obama's administration, the administration said it remained confident in the overall integrity of the electoral infrastructure, a confidence that was borne out. As a result, we believe our elections were free and fair from a cybersecurity perspective. So that could be the headline too if they wanted.
For sure. That
could be the headline hey, Barack Obama says that it was free and fair. This is the DHS Undersecretary Christopher Krebs. He was testifying in Congress on 11/29/7. So that's November 29th, 2017. Okay, and so the DHS had given this big headline to all these newspapers that 21 states were hacked. And you know how do you know how the DHS let them know it? They called the states. Secretaries of state, and they had a script written for the person who would call them, and they would read a script, and it was about 12 or 13 sentences long, and it said, you've been hacked. And they provided no information. They provided no data, no nothing, no anything. And so people in Congress asked the DHS to send it. And so here's a congresswoman interviewing the Undersecretary Christopher Krebs, the Undersecretary of the DHS, asking him, where the heck is that information? And here we go.
Mr. Krebs, I wanted to ask about your agency's efforts, DHS, to notify 21 states about Russian attacks on their state election systems. On October 20th, Ranking Member Cummings and I sent a letter to DHS requesting copies of the notifications you sent to 21 states that were attacked before the last elections. And Mr. Chairman, I ask for unanimous consent that this letter be made part of the official record for today's hearing.
So ordered.
In our letter, we also asked for other materials, including all documents, and I quote, relating to Russian government-backed attempts to hack state election systems. Our letter asked for these documents by October 31st, but we got nothing. So earlier this week, the Republican committee staff kindly agreed to help us make crystal clear to DHS that we wanted these documents before today's hearings so we could ask informed questions. DHS assured us that they would respond. Instead, late in the day yesterday, DHS sent us only an email with a short script that DHS employees apparently read over the phone to state election officials. Mr. Krebs, I'm just...
So they requested all this, they requested the evidence of the hacking, and you know what they were sent? Nothing except the script that they were reading to the secretaries of state over the phone telling them that there was a hack. They gave them the script. That didn't give them the evidence.
Oh my!
It was
God.
one step ahead of a robocall.
Yes.
It was just one level above.
So let's listen a little bit more to this.
asking where are the rest of the documents that we requested.
Ma'am, I'm aware of the script that was provided. A lot of those notifications were over the phone. They were not by email. There may have been some follow-up conversations. As to the rest of the documents, if you'll permit me to go back, and I commit to you that we will have a more fulsome answer for you. But
So he didn't know that they requested those documents before he came to this meeting, to this hearing? He didn't know? Really? The undersecretary didn't know that this person specifically who's on this committee was going to ask for those documents because she'd already asked for those documents? Yeah, oh, well, I guess I can get them for you.
If you'll allow me some time, I have Word on my computer, the most recent version, and I'll get on that right away.
Maybe they didn't say anything because there's nothing to send.
Because there's nothing to send.
There's nothing to send. There's no evidence of anything. This starts from a bunch of servers at the DNC that CrowdStrike goes, hey, FBI, don't look at this. And it's just snowballed into this hysteria that nobody cares about. Like polls are like, and I don't even believe in polls, but these polls are like less than 1%. And they just keep going.
Oh, you mean the
Well,
poll?
Sam, a lot of the poll, we did it over the phone. It wasn't phone.
Who answers the phone, man? Who answers the phone for these polls?
So you're talking about the poll that showed that less than 1% of Americans think the Russian hacking or Russiagate is the biggest problem we have. Less than 1% of
Nobody
Americans.
cares.
Nobody. So we're going to get to that in another segment too today. But let me just show you one more video, Sam. So here he is again, and now they keep asking about the attack. The Russians attacked on our elections. The cybersecurity, they attacked these 21 states. And watch what he says about that.
is the nature of the conversations we've had over the last, frankly, year with the states, and I've had a number of conversations with Secretary Shedler. My team has regular conversations with Commissioner Cortez and a range of other state election officials. When you characterize these things as attacks, I think that is perhaps overstating what may have happened in the 21 states, as was mentioned over the course of the summer. The majority of the activity was simple scanning. Scanning happens all the time. It's happening right now to a number of probably your websites. Scanning is a regular activity across the web. I would not characterize that as an attack. It's a preparatory step.
So here the guy is, hey, you know, all that hair on fire stuff we said about the 21 states being hacked and blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit. That's what he just said. It's all bullshit. This is actually normal stuff that goes on all the time. You're probably things being scanned right now. If you have a website, it's being scanned right now. It's not a big deal. What he didn't say is what we decided to do was conflate that and pretend that it was this because the Department of Homeland Security wanted to get control of certain parts of state, local, and local elections. That's what this was about. That's what this is about. And that's why they're lying. So this Russiagate thing, a lot of people have reasons to push it. The Democratic Party pushes it so you don't look at what they did in the primary, which was completely do election fraud on Bernie Sanders, right? So that's why the Democrats don't want you to talk about it. The establishment press wants you to talk about it because it gets views and hits and clicks and everything. And by the way, they're joined at the hip with the political establishment. And the political establishment wants to push it because they hate Donald Trump. Because when he does horrible stuff, it looks horrible because he's horrible, right? But when Barack Obama does horrible stuff, nobody noticed because he's nice. So the political establishment wants to get Donald Trump out of there so they can get a guy in there who's got a nice face who does horrible things because they're doing horrible things together. The Democrats helped Trump pass an $80 billion extra on his Pentagon budget. They just got together to fast track 15 of his judges' lifetime appointments. The Democrats got together to deregulate Wall Street again. So they're all it's not policy. This is for the most part, it's not policy. Those cages that Trump are putting kids in, Barack Obama built them. So he was the deporter in chief. So again, a lot of people. And the Department of Homeland Security, we find out one of the reasons why they're pushing it is because they wanted to take over certain parts of the local elections and state elections. That's why they wanted more power. Wow. So let's go over to my panel because there's more to the story, but I just wanted to show that's pretty awesome that here's the guy in. And by the way, you never see this on the news. You never see, oh, by the way, the Undersecretary of the Department of Homeland Security said all that stuff was bullshit. No, you never see that. By the way, those stories are still up. All those stories I showed you, all these stories, this is still up. This is still up. This is still up. This is still up. They're all still up. Isn't that amazing? But other people are conspiracy theorists. Alex Jones is crazy conspiracy theorist. Meanwhile, the mainstream news media pushes conspiracies on the regular. How about the Iraq War? The biggest conspiracy theory in the history was pushed on the regular every day for years by the mainstream news media, and now they're doing this again. Let me throw it over to my panel.
Well, that segment aired on C-SPAN 3, so to be optimistic, about 14 people did see it, Jimmy. But I wonder, do you think like all the people behind that guy when he said that, like, oh, it's just scanning. Do you think there was at least one person that was like, this is a total waste of my time? I'm missing Taco Tuesday for this. Like somebody was like, this is ridiculous.
And nobody cares if they come out and say that it didn't happen because they just want to be right. I mean, like when Comey testified, he said that Trump didn't make him back off from the Russian thing. He literally came out and said it. And then Ronstein said there was no interference from another government, said that. And it just comes out and they don't care because they don't care about being right. They just want to win.
That's
right.
right.
More important. And whenever you say something, like people get really mad at me because they go, well, Obama did this, Hillary did this. Like, why do you keep bringing up that? I'm like, because you want to act like evil just started a year and a half ago. This has been a long game, been played for a long time by pro wrestling, dude. Two heads of the same snake. People want to act like this is just a new thing that just happened. No, these are all stuff being played on. I mean, if you really take a look at Bill Clinton's administration and Donald Trump's administration, they are so similar. They both beat like an incumbent or an established person, came out of nowhere to win. And then just their administration, just everything's hearings and investigations. All the same time while they're just deregulating. It's all like, look over here while we just do all this evil stuff over here.
You know what, Sam? I haven't really made that comparison before, but I think that is an apt comparison between the Clinton administration in a sense and the Trump administration when you talk about, if you look at it that way, first of all, the investigation, the lying, the public lying by Bill Clinton. Well, you know, I never had sex with that woman, all that stuff. And then all the deregulation that happened, right? So that's what Trump is doing again. And Bill Clinton was the big deregulator, right? And he passed NAFTA and he gutted welfare and he exploded the prison population and he deregulated Wall Street. That was Bill Clinton that did that. So now here they are. Guess what? The Democrats joined the Republicans again recently. They just gutted Dodd-Frank regulation and so to deregulate Wall Street again. So now let's get back to this. Investors Business Daily decided to take on this story of the 21 hacks, 39 states hacked, 39 Vox says now. And they left it up. That's still up at Vox. So this is from Investors Business Daily. Is any part of the Russian election hacking story true? Conspiracy theories, instead of building up to a troubling conclusion about the Trump campaign's collusion with Russian to interfere in the 2016 election, the facts about the story keep turning out to be untrue. The latest is a claim that the Russians tried to hack 21 state election systems. But when the story started to fall apart, when Wisconsin and California said the Department of Homeland Security was wrong about their systems being targeted. So the states, just like I showed you, that Congresswoman, people from the states started to push back against the DHS and ask them for evidence because we don't have any, and then their story started to crumble. California found that Russian hadn't scanned its Secretary of State website at all. Following our request for further information, it became clear that the Department of Homeland Security's conclusions were wrong, California Secretary of State Alex Padilla said. Now, again, this is... You never hear this story on the news. This is written somewhere in the Investor's Business Daily. I don't know how the hell I found it, but there it is. Wouldn't that be the headline every day? Shouldn't that be the headline every day? The Department of Homeland's conclusions about Russia, they're all wrong. Wouldn't that be the headline for at least a week or two? Maybe 3 weeks, it would be the headline. Look how wrong the Department of Homeland Security. No, it's not even ever mentioned on the front page or at the top of a broadcast, if it's ever mentioned at all. A little bit more to that. DHS backpedaled on its claim about Wisconsin after state officials there point out that the web address in the DHS report was for the state's Department of Workforce Development, not its Elections Commission. So the DHS said, hey, your elections commission got hacked. Here's the URL. And they go, no, that's not our elections commission. That's the Department of Workforce, you dummies. Russia. Who knows how many other targeted states also weren't targeted?
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Is your state among the non-targeted targets?
What we do know, as Judd Choate, president of the U.S. National Association of State Elections directors put it, that there remains no evidence that the Russians altered one vote or changed one registration. I'm going to put that in red. No evidence. There remains no evidence. Just to highlight this, there remains no evidence that the Russians altered one vote or changed one registration. But that didn't stop various Trump critics from claiming that this was further evidence that Russia stole the election for Trump. This has unfortunately become the norm since Trump unexpectedly won the election in November. Headline-grabbing stories claim that Russia was involved in some nefarious election-related business, and then days or weeks later, the stories turn out to be false or wildly exaggerated. So this is, and again, what Glenn Greenwald points out, Sam, and what I've tried to reiterate here on this show is that if these were reporters making honest mistakes, instead of printing without evidence and just repeating what the government officials are saying, which is stenography, that's not journalism. So if it was actually honest mistakes because they're rushing to get a story out and blah, 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 you would expect half the mistakes to go one way and half the mistakes to go the other way, or roughly thereabout, except that's not how it works. All the mistakes in the Russiagate reporting are always in the same direction. They're always building up a big headline saying that Russiagate is real and then it's always wrong. It never goes the other way. There's never a headline saying, hey, Russiagate's all bullshit. And then everybody else picks that up, and that's the story for a few days. That never happens that way. It's only the other way, and that's how you know it's bullshit. And that's how you know propaganda is happening. Well, that's one way. There's many ways. I just showed you many other ways. So again, when people who follow this show, and I kind of came at this guy on Twitter pretty hard. I go, hey, you got to quit tweeting out bullshit and thinking it's real because it's not, and you're not a good source of information. So I'm going to mute you now. And but you wouldn't even double check. Like if he tweeted at me that Vox article, this guy, and I'm like, you wouldn't try to see if that was true or debunked, or go ahead, Sam.
They're not trying to find out what the actual truth is.
Right.
They're trying to find stuff that validates what they desperately want to believe. So you're going to send him this article, and the first thing he's going to say is, oh, Investors Business Daily.
Yep.
Oh, what is that website?
Yep.
And if it's not NBC, ABC, or CNN or MSNBC, they don't think it's valid. And that's just because, and you'll never get it from them because they're so corporate owned. They're never going to tell you this story, ever.
That's very much like when we pointed out to Dave Weigel, a star Washington Post reporter, we pointed out to him online on Twitter that Jeff Bezos actually has a $600 million deal with the CIA. and we linked, or someone, not me, Russ Lewis, linked to an article from hangthebankers.com.
Yeah.
And he goes, no way I could debunk that website. Again, exactly what you said. Didn't talk about the facts. But then he tried to, and that's, by the way, that's a form of lying that Dave Weigel did. That's because that's gaslighting, because he knew the facts were true, and he tried to make you think they weren't. That's lying. And that's their star reporter, who's a fucking public liar.
Well, the first thing you learn in like basic argumentation too, not to say there aren't like crazy sources out there, of course there are, but the first thing you learn in basic argumentation, when somebody starts by attacking a source, it's because they got nothing else.
That's right.
They got nothing else.
It's like
That's
when
right.
people make fun of your grammar. That's the first thing they do, like on Twitter.
Or your
nice
spelling.
grammar. You're like, so you got nothing.
Or your spelling.
Yeah.
Your spelling. I often misspell everything. So anyway, there you go. So I hope this helps people. I mean, we can do stories like this every day. There's lots of people who've already been fired about this over at CNN, and people suspended at ABC because they keep doing false stories. Remember the story about Scaramucci had some deal with a Russian bank? It was all bullshit. Some people got fired over that story.
All these indictments
Yeah.
have nothing to do with this.
So that's another thing people miss, Sam, is that all these indictments or the convictions right now of Manafort,
You're right.
they have nothing to do with Russian collusion. They have to do with bank fraud and money laundering and shit that happened before he ever met Trump.
And you see these people, especially where we live, Hollywood, right? Where they just like, oh yeah, 10 indictments. You're like, none of it's for the Russian stuff.
None of it.
Doesn't matter to them. They
Doesn't-
just see
You
indictments.
see those memes with the number, and they're like, "But we're winning."
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And most of those indictments have to go back to the Podesta group and the Ukraine, which is a connection to who? Hillary Clinton, man. Most of this stuff goes back to the Clinton Foundation, a lot of that crazy stuff as well.
You're no doubt about that. So people don't realize that when Manafort was funneling money from Ukraine, and he was also funneling a lot of that money to Tony Podesta, who's the brother of John Podesta, who's Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. It's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed. Even if you think you are, you're probably not. It only takes a second to check, and then you have to ring that bell so they send you a notification when we drop a new video. Otherwise, they won't tell you when we drop new videos. And if you like our show, please help support it. Become a patron. We give you hours of bonus material every week, and we give a live stream. We do a live stream every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time when you could ask us questions and we answer them back. Thanks for your support.